ratio. Russell's on fire. Their remaining schedule: at Philadelphia, weak secondary; at home against Minnesota, weak secondary; at Los Angeles Rams, that's a little bit tougher; at Carolina, kind of middle of the pack; and then the championship week at home against the weak Arizona secondary. Who knows if Patrick Peterson is even giving it his all, if he's even active by then. So there you go. I mean, championship week, DK Metcalf and Josh Gordon both playing the Arizona Cardinals. And then finally, another receiver that I believe you should trade for, DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers, has a 30% target share for the Carolina aerial assault right now. Yeah, rushing attack. He's getting a 30% target share. His remaining schedule: at New Orleans, which is tough, I know, but if Marshawn Lattimore does not play again, then it's a little more enticing. At home against Washington, which, almost couldn't do better as far as the matchup there. At Atlanta, we talked about, Atlanta's hot past 2 weeks, but we'll see how hot they are in the next couple of weeks. At home against Seattle, and then at Indy. So it's kind of an up and down schedule for DJ Moore, but he's getting plenty of looks. He's turned, since the bye week in week 7, sorry, I need to take a sip of my Gatorade here. Since the bye week, week 7, DJ Moore has 29 catches for 354 yards, guys. So he's definitely been getting it done, even though Kyle Allen has been certainly a disappointment these last couple of games. Moving into some guys I believe you should trade away. And with John Brown, I'm going to say you shouldn't trade him away due to talent, because he certainly has plenty of talent. You should trade John Brown away because you could get great value for him after a stellar week against the weak Miami secondary, okay? He showed out. He had 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen had a very exceptional week. It was in Miami, so it was a good weather game for this time of year. But the remaining schedule for John Brown and the rest of the Buffalo Bills, including your boy Dawson Knox, Jay: at home against Denver, at Dallas, at home against Baltimore, at Pittsburgh, and then championship week at New England. So I think Buffalo Bills are going to be players you need to avoid in your.
So what can you get for Dawson Knox? Who do you trade for if you're trading Dawson Knox away? Who's a comp you can get that's value that somebody's actually fair value?
You got to package him. You're not going to get anything straight up for Dawson Knox. You would have to package him with either a running back or a wide receiver. Another player I think you should trade away, a guy we talked about earlier, Amari Cooper. Guy's been banged up, but still has a big name, still has some games that you can point to and say, look, this is what he can do. This is his ceiling. But, with Randall Cobb and Michael Gallup both stepping up in their roles these past couple weeks, just shows that, maybe they can rest Cooper and still get by. The remaining schedule for the Dallas Cowboys, which is why I still have faith for my Philadelphia Eagles, at New England, at home against Buffalo, at Chicago, home against the Los Angeles Rams, and then championship week, week 16, at Philadelphia. So it's a rough road ahead for these Dallas Cowboy wide receivers and Dak Prescott. So there you go, guys. Some people you should trade away. Again, John Brown and Amari Cooper. Guys you should be looking to trade for if you still can, if your deadline has not passed. OBJ and Jarvis Landry, Josh Gordon and DK Metcalf, and DJ Moore of the Carolina Panthers.
I like it a lot.
Okay. Well, what's next, Dillon?
Well, if you would like to just continue
let's just go on. So we, for time's sake, and you can go right into stardoms and situms, and then we'll go into our long break so we can get into power rankings. We'll save some time that way.
Fair enough. We'll move right into the stardoms and situms for Week 12, guys. First up at quarterback, I want to mention Matt Ryan. Had a pretty decent week last week versus the Carolina Panthers. This week it's the weak secondary of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No more Vernon Hargreaves. They have not been a good pass defense all year long. They've been a very successful rush defense with Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh and those good linebackers up front, but extremely vulnerable in the secondary are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they now travel to Atlanta to take on the aerial attack of Matt Ryan and these Falcons. Another quarterback to start, Drew Brees versus the Carolina Panthers. Drew just threw for 3 touchdowns. The connection with Michael Thomas is strong as ever. Jared Cook is pretty involved in the offense as well. So I like Drew Brees versus the reeling Carolina Panthers. And finally, it pains me to say, but Russell Wilson at the Philadelphia Eagles is going to be a great play. The defense for the Eagles is playing better than they have. You know, they're finally getting healthy at cornerback with Darby and Jalen Mills, you know, finally playing. But Russell Wilson's going to do what he has all year long. He's going to escape the pocket. He's going to extend plays, and he's going to find someone open downfield to score a touchdown. Whether it's Jacob Hollister or DK Metcalf, we'll see. But those are my starters at quarterback. Moving on to the running back position. The ever-reliable the guy that's on everyone's championship team this year, Christian McCaffrey, is traveling to New Orleans. He's obviously going to be heavily dependent on, as usual. You can stick Christian McCaffrey, set it and forget it every week. Coming off of the bye, Derrick Henry should be a nice play versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. You've got Nick Chubb and the Cleveland Browns, like we talked about earlier, taking on the Miami Dolphins, so that should be a nice matchup for him. We'll see how much Kareem Hunt eats into that workload. Maybe even Hunt's a guy you can stick in as a flex player this week. Moving on to the wide receivers, I love Michael Thomas this week and every week. He's been dominating. If you're on Twitter at all, you've seen the number of tweets that just send him praise. Field Yates especially is always on top of the stats as far as he goes. Michael Thomas is just leading the league in catches and yards, and it's just dominating target share for the Saints. And when you've got such an accurate quarterback throwing you the ball, it's no problem. He's taking on the Panthers this week. Julio Jones taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a juicy matchup. Still waiting for that bust out, 10-plus catch, 200-yard performance that we're see at least once a year from Julio Jones. Maybe this is the week. DeAndre Hopkins takes on the Indianapolis Colts, which, the Colts have been pretty solid on defense this year, but if Pierre Desir's injury acts up, then Hopkins has just been a target monster.
I think Texans are mad about last week's blowout, too.
Exactly. And finally, your boy, coming off the bye week, Devontae Adams at the San Francisco 49ers is a must-start for me. I'm not afraid of Richard Sherman. I'm not afraid of whoever is on the other side of the defense for San Fran. Yes, it is an away game. Yes, that makes it tougher. No, I'm not afraid. Aaron Rodgers gets it done. Devontae Adams is far and above his favorite target, and he will find a way to get him the ball. I mean, it's just pretty. You see him flick that thing down the sideline, and you think, oh, the DB's right. Oh, my God, how did he catch that? Every time. It's just right over the helmet, just past the ear. Every time.
Well, check this out. I just got a trade from Miss Julie Noted at PFG Vibe. She accepted my trade. I have gotten Marvin Jones Jr. from Detroit for Curtis Samuel and Dawson Knox.
Hey, there you go.
You realize Jeff Driscoll's playing, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
That they don't run a pass-heavy offense with him in there. It's a read option offense that he runs.
He's the only dude that cuts his touchdowns there.
Live breaking news.
Curtis Samuel has not done anything in 2 weeks. It has all been DJ Moore and CMC there. His value
I'm going to laugh if Curtis Samuel goes off. I'm going to laugh.
He goes off like once every 4 weeks, dude, like for real.
That means he's due right before the playoffs and the championship week.
No, it's not with the matchups he's got. Nope.
Another name that I just have to mention because he is taking on the Dolphins at home, Baker Mayfield. Just might be the start of the week for the Cleveland Browns. Moving into the sit category. It's tough to sit Dak Prescott. He's been so valuable all season long. But when you're taking on the New England Patriots in Foxborough, you certainly want to look to the waiver wire. And I got to let me ask you guys this. Would you rather play Dak Prescott at New England or Baker Mayfield at home against the Dolphins?
Baker.
There you go. So I guess that turns Dak Prescott into the sit category if you can go to the waiver and find someone to replace him. Tom Brady in that same game versus Dallas. Would you rather have Tom Brady versus Dallas or Baker Mayfield versus Miami?
Baker Mayfield.
Tom Brady is in the sit category this week versus Dallas. Jimmy Garoppolo taking on the Green Bay Packers at home, guys. I know this is going to be a surprise. Garoppolo is coming off of a 4-touchdown performance, but this is no joke, all right? The Green Bay Packers are coming off a bye, and I've got to believe, especially when you take into account what is the health of Joe Staley, what does that offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers look like right now?
Packers are healthy, too. There's no injuries on the report of it did not practice for today and yesterday. Nothing.
So maybe Jimmy G has a decent game, but certainly don't be expecting another 400-yard, 4-touchdown performance out of old Jimmy Handsome. Moving into the running back category, Tevin Coleman is a sit for me. He's been disappointing the past couple of weeks, and in that same game, like I said, Green Bay's coming off a bye. Coleman's been disappointing, and they divvy up the carries anyway. Is it going to be Mostert? Is it going to be Jeff Wilson Jr.? Is Matt Breida coming back? So we'll see. But the Niners' backfield is murky and ugly right now. Philip Lindsay is another sit for me at Buffalo. Buffalo's been a pretty weak rush defense all in all, to be honest. But I don't trust Lindsay. I don't trust the workload right now with the way they split it up with him and Freeman and Brandon Allen. And is the box going to be stacked and loaded? So Lindsay's a sit for me. Same with Devin Singletary. He kind of had a bummer week versus Miami this past week. I thought that was going to be his breakout performance of the year. It wasn't. And now you're talking about taking on the Denver Broncos, and I just don't like Devin Singletary this week. Another sit for me is Brian Hill. He should have had himself a game at Carolina this past week. He didn't. And now you're talking about taking on a Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense that is actually, top 5 in the league as far as rush defense goes. I don't like it at all. So you can sit Brian Hill. And Sony Michel, he's been a matchup-dependent player all week long, and I don't like the matchup this week versus Dallas, so you can sit Sony Michel. Moving on to wide receivers, I believe Amari Cooper is going to have an ugly week when you talk about the matchup with Stephon Gilmore. And how healthy is he going to be on top of that? Is Dak Prescott going to be, under duress all game long and confused by the blitz packages that they throw at him in New England? So Cooper's a sit. If you consider, let's say Deebo Samuel's out there, I think I would rather play Deebo Samuel this week than Amari Cooper. I'll say that. Malcolm Brown at the LA Rams is a tough matchup. You've already got the Ravens who throw plenty to the tight end position, but Hollywood Brown does not play tight end, and he would be matched up on Jalen Ramsey. So I'm not seeing him having a big week. And then finally, it pains me to say it, you can probably drop Tyler Boyd at this point, but he's taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've been rough all season long. Minka Fitzpatrick has been a stellar addition to that team, taking a couple pick sixes already since arriving in Pittsburgh. And now, Finley has not been the answer that Zach Taylor and the boys have been looking for in Cincinnati. So you can certainly sit Tyler Boyd, if not drop him altogether.
Yeah, and they just paid him a bunch of money, too. So, they got to think they're going to keep him another year, try and pick up Burrow or another quarterback in the draft, and try and pair him with him. And hopefully they can bring back A.J. Green because he's a free agent next year.
Yeah, and it sucks you got to use that pick on Burrow when there's so many holes on defense.
Yeah, but Burrow looks damn good, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Don't get me wrong.
He's smart. I just think he doesn't make the dumb mistakes.
Yeah. Just thinks, when you see a team like the Bengals who have a couple of guys in their prime, and it's going to be several years before the team is actually in contention.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what makes the Bengals so bad is because there's so much talent there still. Yeah. Like that defensive line, we've said it earlier, is stacked. I just looked up something on Brian Baldinger's on his film review. Get this, the Jets are that bad still, and they're number 1 in the league against the run.
Yeah, I was going to throw Josh Jacobs in as a start this week, but when I saw he was at New York, it gave me hesitation.
Hey, fun fact between doing this and Power Rankings, Guess who has the only undefeated record against winning teams?
Who's that?